Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I am in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and I'm at the MicroCap Conference. Let me tell you, we've been covering this conference for a couple of years now, but this is the first time I've been able to come in person, and what an event it was and is. They put on quite a show. I mean, from the pre-party all the way to we're recording this on the last day of the launch, and I just now had the privilege of seeing a panel which Cromwell, my guest, was on, and I was able to snag him for a quick interview. First thing, Cromwell, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, so first off, have you ever been to a MicroCap conference? Just curious if you've been to one of these events.
Yes, I've been in the past. So,
what do you think makes these things so successful? Like, I'm seeing the energy, the people, what's been your experience?
well, anytime you bring together people, companies, investors, advisors, there's it into one place. It becomes a very efficient workspace for people to collaborate, meet, plan future ideas. So, there's a good buzz here.
Amazing. So I know I just now caught the panel that you were speaking on. So I want to talk about that a little bit. But before we do, maybe talk a little bit more about what you're doing over at the OTC Markets Group.
So at OTC Markets, we operate a regulated stock market for 12,000 securities. And we have multiple markets. We've got our OTCQX Best Market for companies that can meet financial and governance standards. And we have our OTCQB Venture Market for entrepreneurial companies. And then we have our Pink Markets, which are for companies, for the most part, that we're not providing per se a listing market, but it's instead for companies for brokers to be able to trade on behalf of investors stocks with limited to no involvement of the issuer.
Now, the panel that you were just sitting on, maybe for those at home that weren't able to attend, maybe give us a little bit of insight into the conversation.
Well, the conversation was about capital formation, and it's a little bit. Right now, capital formation, we've got a switch of administration.
Yep. And on everybody's mind, I don't think you can walk through this conference hall without hearing something about it. Go ahead, please.
So, and the last administration was a Democratic administration, very much of risk is not good. Now, we've got a new administration coming through, which is going to hopefully be speaking more capital formation and looking at how do we go through the securities regulatory rule book and streamline access to capital while still keeping America's world-leading disclosure framework.
And I know some of the things that you're talking about, there were different panelists represented. I believe there was also some other from Canadian Exchange, I believe, was on there.
Yes, there was a panelist from the Canadian Stock Exchange. There's a panelist from the New York Stock Exchange. And there was an attorney who represents public companies and investors.
Yeah. From the OTC market standpoint, or even just yours, I don't want you to speak in front of, on behalf of the entire...
I can speak for OTC Markets. I'm the CEO.
I know you are, but for the from their standpoint, like any comments on like how they're planning or what's going to happen next? I know there's no crystal ball on what's going to happen next with the administration, but what kind of conversations are being had?
Well, I think the conversations are about what can we do to have more good things happen. And where are there parts in the regulatory framework which are restricting good things happening, lawful activities? Is there parts of the securities framework which are adding an economic drag or a costly burden? I mean, at the end of the day, public markets and public companies that are transparent with their disclosure and anybody can buy shares for them go hand in hand with democracy and capitalism.
Absolutely.
So we want to incentivize companies to be public. And we want to make capital more easily available if you are public. That it's a goal, it sounds good, but we need to have a conversation with the regulators about what do we do to start unlocking that.
Yeah, and looking at and in terms of here specifically, that I know there's a lot of companies, and that's one of the conversations they have of how to raise and how to access capital, whether it's through the public markets like you're mentioning, or other ways. Can you speak to just high level on maybe some of the benefits of one versus the other, like going to the public markets and being publicly traded versus maybe another way?
So, if you're a public company, you are playing in a lit stadium.
Yeah.
So, and we really have to look at public markets from two sides. One, companies that want to be public, however, they don't need to raise capital. They produce capital.
Yeah. Okay.
They want to take care of their shareholders. Our markets work fantastic for companies that are capital creators. And we're a lower cost way to be public than the exchanges. Then there's the second group of companies which are looking to raise capital. And there's been a lot of burdens put on public companies, and it's hard to do. So small public companies, whether they're listed on NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, or OTC Markets, they still, for the most part, raise their money privately, which is ludicrous. We want to make it possible that if a company is doing all the things to be public and transparent, that they should be able to raise their money publicly, not have to go back into the private market.
Yeah. Well, Cromwell, I just have to say, it's been great having you on today. I know there's a lot more things you got to get to at the conference. Appreciate you making some time for us. Last thing I want you to do, if you can look into the camera and tell people if they want to learn more about OTC Markets Group, how do they do that?
Visit www.otcmarkets.com. And if you want to learn about our company and what we do, whether it's in the trading business, helping broker-dealers trade electronically across our regulated 8 alternative trading systems, our market data business, or our corporate services business, we're traded on our own market, on our OTCQX Best Market under the symbol OTCM. So you can look up and read our financials and look at our disclosure. Find out how we work.
Amazing. And for everybody listening to this, just so you know, we'll definitely put the links in the show notes so you could just click on it and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Cromwell, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Appreciate
you, Adam, for having me.